and we are recording. So today we're going to be talking with the one and only Charles Briggs, and it's all going to be about Product design. So to kick this call off, Charles, what is product design?
Yeah, hello to everyone out there watching this one. If you're wondering why are we talking with Charlie about product design, I've been studying and doing industrial design or product design in field for about 5 years now, and I actually own my own product design agency, which was Outer and OUTR, and we did outdoor product design for everything from camping chairs to outdoor accessories and much more. So yeah, we're going to be talking about product design right now. And what is product design? This is a little bit of a loaded question, and you'll see it in the next answer. But product design is really looking at any sort of company that sells something, right? They sell a product, and that product needs to be thought through in a way that makes it sensible for the business to be able to sell it and make a profit, as well as for the consumer to have a really good product that they can use, enjoy, and whether that's a function or a form in terms of like making it look pretty or making it function really well. Product designers come in and they basically bridge that gap of, okay, we need to hit these business goals, we need to provide value and profit to the company, but we also are really focused on making the best product for our users. So how can we do both of those? How can we bridge this gap? And so for a long time, this was doing physical product design, right? So you're creating physical products, whether that's a water bottle or a car or some furniture. It's something physical. But recently, in the past 20 years or so, that's actually changed a little bit. And so the word product design has changed as well with the integration of software products. So I think, Andres, if we want to move to the next question real quick that I see on the board.
Let's do it. Next question is, what's the difference between product design and industrial design?
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was starting to allude to in the last answer. The difference between product design and industrial design is, in the past, product design and industrial design were the same, right? One and the same. But when we started getting a lot of companies that started doing software as a product, or even just selling products online or doing some of that side of it, we started to see this branch of what is now also referred to as UI UX design, which stands for user interface and user experience design. And that's typically what you would see if you have an app on your phone or you're using a particular software on your computer. There's a designer behind that looking at, okay, how is this functioning? Is it easy for somebody to click through? Is it difficult for somebody to click through? What different colors do we have? Does that fit with the brand marketing? So there's that side of product design. And now it's actually kind of overtaken industrial design by saying, usually when you say, are you a product designer? Most people take that as, are you a UI UX designer? Because of that just massive shift. And there are people in the industry, I will say, and if you're one of them, we love everyone here, but there are people in the industry that say product designers are only industrial design, or they'll say product designers are only UI UX design. Whereas I kind of tend to take this, everyone can be a product designer, but you need to get a little bit specific about what type of product you're designing, right? So there are UI UX designers, which are great at doing software, but you wouldn't want them to design a car necessarily, and vice versa. You wouldn't want a car designer to be designing an app potentially. There is a lot of similar thinking, like we've talked on this podcast, of just saying, okay, design is design. And I think any designer can kind of help go through a process and apply that to any medium. But there are some nuances within each that would just be a little bit easier once you've specified or become an expert in that area. So the difference really between product design and industrial design is industrial design focuses on consumer-based products. So these are things like a phone or a point and shoot camera or a water bottle, something that you can go to any store or look on Amazon and buy a product. That is industrial design. Whereas product design is more of that general term where industrial design fits underneath a bit, but product design also holds other things like UI UX design as well. Does that answer that one, Andres?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I did have a follow-up question on this topic is in the community that you see with product
Mm,
designers or in industrial designers, do they talk about this amongst themselves? Is
yeah.
when people start to really use that word that title product design for UI UX, was there a lot of chatter in your inner circles?
Yeah, it's really confusing because I don't think that the market as a whole or the industry as a whole has come to grips with what each of the terms actually are. So when you look at like a job posting, if you're just coming out of college and you're looking for a job and you're an industrial designer, you will type in, maybe product designer, and you'll get a lot of UI UX positions. Whereas you might not know how to do some of that coding or working with, Mira or any of those kind of web application development tools. Um, so that's one of the hardest things right now is in the industry when people are talking about it. There's not a good fixed jargon for everybody, right? And just words for meaning different things. So product design, I think, gets thrown around a lot. Whereas if you want to really get specific on who you want in a role, you have to start saying, "Oh, I want a UI UX designer, or I want an app designer, or I want a industrial designer." And even within industrial design, you can get further down and say, "I want a furniture designer, or I want a car designer, or I want a electronics designer." So there's even other nuances there, and when we just bring it up super broad and say product design, um, that can be challenging. But usually you find that with smaller companies that are starting to implement a product designer into the company, they don't quite know, so they just kind of label it as product design when it could be one of many things.
Well, thank you for clearing the air and helping us understand all the nuances with these titles. So, thank you for that. So, the
Yeah,
next question here, Charles, is why is product design important?
it is so important, Andres. It is so important to a company because, like I mentioned at the beginning, product design is what bridges the profit, helps with the profitability of the company, as well as producing just an amazing product that can last and actually add value to a customer's life, right? So product design is important because they're uniquely qualified to be the voice of the user within a business setting, as well as knowing how to move things around in the business or design some of the components to then sell to that user in particular, right? So something that we've talked about before, Andres and I off camera, is like user personas, right? And finding out, okay, who is my ideal user for this product, or who is this ideal user for this podcast, even somebody that is watching this and in a certain demographic. Is that the correct word? Maybe not, but who's the correct user for this product? So product designers help with that. I've also heard it be asked, the difference between product design and maybe like product management. And I think that there is some overlap, right? Typically in companies, a product manager and a product designer work side by side. The product manager is focused a little bit more on the business side and making sure that we're hitting a particular roadmap, whether that's releasing products at a certain timeline. And then a product designer is really there to make sure that the product is something that's good for the end user, something that they want to use, but also fitting within the brand's visual identity, the brand's mission, and other focuses there. So product design is so important because if you just were to create something, I mean, everyone uses the example of Apple, and I'm going to because it's just a pretty good example. But if Apple did not have product design right at the beginning, they'd be selling computers, and well, a lot of people like to bash the. There's the saying kind of like form versus function, or form over function, or function over form out there. Basically, you need to to be able to sell good products or to be able to sell lots of products, you want it to look good as well as function good. And that can actually help when you're looking at some of those aesthetic choices. It can help with longevity in terms of like different material choices that you pick and what does that look like for the final color of the product and some of those choices. And so product designers help with not only selling more products, but also designing great products and making sure that those products stay in the market as long as possible. And I think most product designers now are really looking at how can we create products that are, you know, have that longevity. In the past, maybe it was more of a, every year we want something new, but now a lot of product designers are realizing that if we want to keep the planet clean, so to speak, we need to be really careful about how we're designing products.
That is so relevant to the nowadays, because when you think about wanting to do a physical product, you have to look at what kind of materials, where is it coming from, all those kind of things. And yeah, it you highlight everything very well. So thank you for that, Charles. So I know we talked about this, and hopefully I don't derail the conversation here. But did we want to answer that question? How does product design differ from product management?
Yeah, we can re-answer it real quick. It's just product design is more focused on the design of the actual product, whereas product management is more focused on the business side of making sure that, if a product designer is designing the different products, a product manager is making sure that they're getting, released at the right time, that they're fitting within the business growth goals. And it's a little bit more on that business side, whereas a product designer has to have a little bit of that knowledge to know how to create good products, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I just wanted to have
Yeah,
the question and your answer together. So for the
definitely.
time stamping, and for anyone out there that's rewatching this, it'd be a lot easier for you as well. All right, so let's take that one away. So you kind of alluded this a little bit earlier, and we talked about this in our green room chat. Is what are the types of product design?
Yeah, great question. So, product designers, or the types of product designs, again, I alluded to it earlier. You have, the UI UX design, kind of the app design, software design world, and that would be particularly around the interface usually and the experience. So, somebody getting into a software, an app, and actually clicking through it, using it, making sure that it's really, really usable and really good for that user. And then you also have within industrial design, there's lots of different areas. Typically, people will stick to one area just because that's kind of where their passions lie. So there are a lot of people out there who are, shoe designers. Think Nike; they keep coming out with new shoes, so that is a part of product design. There are toy designers for sure. You have lots of toy design, and then within consumer, usually you split it up between like consumer electronics, which is everything from like phones, cameras, really anything with a chip, which seems to be just about everything nowadays has a chip. And then there would be the non-electronic consumer design. So you can think things like tools or chairs, like office chairs and things of that nature. Furniture design is a huge one as well. So you'll see a lot of people getting into maybe like a light fixture or designing tables, and this is all with the key of doing mass production, right? Like you aren't doing. I would say the difference between maybe a product designer and an artist, if you think about it in this way, or like a maker or creator, is just like the artist, maker, creator typically only designs for one piece, like one installation. Maybe they design this amazing chandelier, but it's only supposed to be made once and go out. Whereas a product designer would design that, but design it for mass production. So it was easily producible. It had a really good cost of goods, which is like the price of the material versus what you sell it at to a customer, so that a company can make profit, right? And so that's some difference there. The last one I wanted to mention was just like car design is another really massive topic, and you'll see people dive into each of those, car, toy, electronics, all of those pretty specifically. So once you get into the field, you kind of try out some different things. You see what you really like, and then you'll dive a little bit deeper into that realm because they each have their own nuances and how they're produced. Also like fashion design is, I would say, adjacent, right? There's definitely some similarities and some unsimilarities, similar to like industrial design and UI UX design, industrial design and like fashion design. So when you're thinking about companies designing outerwear or clothing of any type, that's part of it as well. So there's really a lot of types, and that's as many as I could think of right now. I'm sure there's much more, and with each of those, I bet there's even more subtypes, like soft toys or like plushes versus like a hard plastic toy. There's differences like that within each of those as well. So really, there is quite a wide variety of what product design is, and so when you just label a job as product designer, it's really hard because you don't know what exactly you want. You need to be able to define that a little bit more.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And just a fun question, just to
Yeah.
got me thinking. Have you ever when would you ever consider designing your own outerwear? So you talked about it just a second ago. For an example,
Mm,
something to do with the outdoors, and I
yeah.
don't know, maybe there's something there. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, when I mentioned earlier, I ran a design agency called Outer. We really focused on outdoor products. So, like I mentioned, camping and things of that area. So, that's definitely part of what I've been thinking about. Usually, I would focus, like, my interests particularly are more with like bags. So, things like backpacks, or maybe that's backpacking for camping or doing other things, cycling bags. That's kind of where I blend between soft goods, which is that fabrics and textiles, blend between that and the hard goods side, which is more of those metal, plastic type products. As far as clothing, I don't know. Maybe we could come up with some sort of cool hoodie design together, or a vest of some sort. I love me a good like fall Patagonia vest, or something of that nature. That would be super cool to do.
Yeah, you inspired me a second ago of collaborating somehow. Maybe this would be a
Mm.
cool project in the future as transformative clothing or tech clothing. So what I'm trying to say is, when you have a jacket, it can turn into a backpack when you need it to, something like
Yeah.
that. Like let's say you're hiking and it gets really hot, but you start to collect things. Maybe you're a rock collector and you don't have enough
Yeah.
baggage, and so
There's
then, oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I apologize to interrupt, but there is a kind of a movement within fashion design, but also just clothing design, that is kind of that multi-utility. So whether that's a hoodie that can kind of transform into a backpack, or I've also seen a lot of really cool clothes that are like full coats that can convert into tents for homeless individuals that you could use. And so they're trying to solve, really, it's just we're trying to solve problems and user problems with through design and through physical products. And so that can be anything, from kind of the homeless situation all the way to I don't want to have to go push the button on my coffee maker. So to make coffee, I want to just be able to like say, "Hey Alexa," sorry everyone who has an Alexa and has their speaker on right now. Um, yeah,
Thank you, Charles. So as we're rounding off our episode here,
definitely.
the last question is product design a good career?
I would hope that I've inspired somebody to think a little bit more about product design as a career, in terms of your career, just with all the variety that we have. I would say short answer is yes. Product design is a great career if that's something that you want to get into. There's also multiple ways to get into product design, whether that's coming from a fashion background, an engineering background, or there are dedicated industrial design degrees as well, or just product design degrees, or even the tech background as well. So there's lots of ways that you can get into design and into product design in particular. But also once you're in there, you can kind of find a route that you like. You can change between product management as well as product design. There's a lot of movement and there's a lot of flexibility, which in my opinion, and for me and what I like, that means that it is a good career because we're only ever going to be coming up with more products. That's just kind of the nature of how we work. And maybe on the next episode we can talk about something around product design, especially with the metaverse and designing digital type products within that. But there's always going to be product design, and so we will need product designers continually, and making sure that we make good and ethical and clean products, I think, is really important as well. So making sure that we have a good force that can help with that. So there's lots of variability within the career, and pays pretty good too. So that's always nice.
Thank you for that. And I absolutely love that. There is a lot of places where you can grow with having to start off with as a product designer. You can get into the management, high level thinking, all that kind of stuff. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
So, everyone, thank you so much for watching our episode on product design and the one and only Charles. So, if you have any more questions about product design, please put them in the comments below, and Charles and I will look at that and we'll make an episode of that. And can't thank you enough if you watched throughout the whole entire duration of this video. And you're a superstar. Thank you so much. And the last thing is, if you are here for the first time and you're hearing us for the very first time, please consider subscribing. You'll just hear more about some of the questions that we have and some of the thinking that goes behind our answers. And we bring a unique lens to the world, so we'd love to have you hear more on each episode. Any last words, Charles?
Yeah, just a note on that for any new subscribers or any people who have been listening on and off for a while as well. We do release these episodes every Saturday and Wednesday. And so you get 2 episodes a week, kind of in that 20-minute mark. And we're just talking about all things design. Definitely let us know in the comments what you want to hear, so that way we can plan out a little bit better and get some guests. Andres, through his day job, has a great repertoire of professionals that we can pull from and bring in on interviews. If you've seen a couple of our past interviews, those were great connections that we've both created. And so through that, we've been able to meet a lot of people in a lot of different careers. So if there's something you're interested more about, please let us know, and keep stopping by every Saturday and Wednesday for our episodes. Awesome. Goodbye.